30 residents of Susquehanna County are participating in a study by the University of London to monitor air quality near natural gas drilling sites. I'm Larry Sauder. Nick Shapiro is a postdoctoral researcher who's coordinating the University of London's air monitoring study in Susquehanna County.
We are developing a citizen environmental monitoring project with approximately 30 local citizens that will be using technologies that we've either brought from other universities or that we've developed ourselves to better understand the air quality impacts of unconventional natural gas extraction.
Dr. David Brown is a public health toxicologist who's been studying the health implications of gas drilling in Washington County in western Pennsylvania. He's also interested in the air quality monitoring that's being done in Susquehanna County, and he explains it for us.
What they're doing is to measure in the air, and primarily in the air, exposures to 3 or 4 different products that may be there with specific instrumentation that lets them measure in what we would call absolute time. So they would be measuring 24 hours an hour every hour, so they would know what the patterns of exposure would look like for particulates that might be in the air, some gases that would be in the air, and also recording events that they may experience either within their own health or within that they may see.
Dr. Brown says the air monitoring study in Susquehanna County is different than the study that's been underway for some time in Washington County.
In Washington County, we are specifically sending a nurse practitioner in to talk to people who believe that their health may be impacted by the gas extraction activities going on around them. She records what their health effects may be, and we do overlap a bit because we do also measure particulates and do exposure measurements for those people that we see.
The purpose of the study there, or the one here, is not to build a case for or against fracking.
What we're trying to do is to identify what the patterns of disease might be if they're there, and also to determine what we should tell physicians that they need to do if a patient shows up with a particular kind of an effect, so that they would be able to be treated.
Dr. Brown says the research in Washington County has raised public health concerns.
And we see patterns of disease appearing that could be related to the activity around gas drilling. It's not necessarily fracking. This industrialization involves a lot of things going on right near populations. So we're not surprising we see increases in asthma and some other things.
Dr. Brown says the data collected by the 30 volunteers in Susquehanna County will be a valuable addition to the research.
Yeah, it'll be very valuable because the Washington County, when we started, was already deep into the drilling. It's just beginning in Susquehanna County, so they'll be able to see different kinds of activities that are going on. They'll also be able to determine whether certain stages of the drilling or the extraction is more or less likely to release materials into the air that may be a health problem.
And Dr. Brown explains why that's important.
All of the information, and there's a lot of global information, needs to be put together so that we can understand the context of what this is. We also think that if the information could be put out and brought on the table, that we could then sit down and discuss what steps the state, the industry, or people would need to do to be certain that people are not getting injured.
When you go to your doctor, Dr. Brown says it wouldn't hurt to mention that you live or work near drilling activity when you're giving your medical history.
It'd be helpful to your physician because you might go to the doctor and you may say, I have a stomach ache, for example, and there's lots of ways to get stomach aches. And but by the way, I am near the drilling, and we find certain specific, if you go and talk to a patient or a group of patients with this particular malady, you'll find they begin to give you the story that sounds the same again and again. And that's enough for someone to say, well, maybe we ought to test your water to make sure it's clean.
Dr. Brown says stress, because of the controversy over fracking, can be a health concern.
It's important to take the drama out of the problem.
To that end, Nick Shapiro says the public's invited to an event this afternoon that will explain more about the study in Susquehanna County.
Later this afternoon at 2 p.m. at the Salt Springs State Park Pavilion, we'll be having a roundtable discussion to talk about air quality monitoring and environmental monitoring in general. and what citizens can do in terms of gathering data and advocating from it.
The roundtable discussion will last for about an hour and a half.
And following that, we'll have a barbecue for free, and this event is open to everyone, and it is free.
That's 2 o'clock this afternoon at Salt Springs State Park. For WPEL, I'm Larry Sauder.